Update. My 31 male fiancé is 29 female. Coworker told me about her past. Original story. I've known my fiancé for 3 years, engaged last year, and we should be married next year. Anyway, last night both of us are hanging out with her coworkers, and we had a great time. I excused myself to have a cigarette outside, and one of her coworkers approached me and asked if I was okay with her. I didn't understand, so I asked him what is he trying to say. He told me that before she was my girlfriend, she hooked up with most of her coworkers. One-night stands, friends with benefits, you name it, she does it all. And then I asked him if he was one of them, and he said yes. I'm not into shaming or anything, but she lied to me. We've been honest about our relationship, and she told me that she's not into hookup culture. I'm still not sure whether to tell her about this, and I also not sure who's lying, she or her coworker. Redditor, what would you do? I kinda lost right now. Edit. She lied to me that she never did casual flings or hookups, that she only gets intimate inside a relationship. Now for the top advice before reading the update. Just tell her what happened and see what she says. When I went out for a smoke last night, Jimmy told me you've hooked up with all of them. And then silence. Silence is your friend when you want information from someone. Let it sit for many, many beats. Eventually, if she doesn't say anything, you can prompt, "Did you?" Keep your cool. If she gets defensive, make it clear, "I'm not upset that you hooked up with them. What bothers me is you didn't tell me. You even said you're not into hookup culture. Why weren't you honest?" I'm doing this. But can you please give the fiancé you have known for 3 years the benefit of the doubt? You don't know this man. This seems very sketchy to me. I wouldn't be surprised if he once heard trying to break you guys up. For one, if it's 100% true, why would he find you to tell you? Not assume you would know or would care about her past. Right? I was thinking, why would this man dive straight into this topic when speaking to Opie? When I go out for a cigarette break, I bring up light topics that help me get to know the person better. This guy seems to have a clear motive, to cause a rift. Also, someone else mentioned how hookup culture isn't a permanent state of being. I find this to be true. I was once young and naive, and would have a lot of one-night stands. Now I would say that I'm not into hookup culture, that I absolutely would be telling the truth. People change, and her intimate history, whilst important for some people, is quite frankly not Opie's business. It took ages to tell my boyfriend about my past because I was ashamed, yet me telling him was voluntary as I wanted to inform him. It is not a requirement and also not a lie, unless she denied she ever had hookups. You say co-workers, but you only mentioned this one fellow who told you this. If he's the only one, is there any chance he is just a creep who is lying? Maybe he just doesn't want your fiancé to become unavailable. If that scenario is true and you don't tell her, you could be endangering her. It's hard to say what else someone like that is capable of. If he's telling the truth, then yes. Her dishonesty, not her past, is a problem. Yeah, this sounds like the barbecue scene at the office space. Opie could blow up his relationship over an untrue comment a douche made. And now for the update. So, I confronted her right away after my first post. He asked her about everything that her coworker, without mentioning his name, told me. Apparently, everything he told me was true. Unfortunately, she indeed had short-term relationships with most of her coworkers. I don't want to ask more about the details on how or who she did with, but there's more than I thought, including someone not from her office, because I know I am a type of person who is extremely insecure. So yeah, she's into a lot of casual hookups. So I asked, why did you lie? And she told me because when we were dating, she said that I said something between the line that I don't date promiscuous women. And because she enjoys spending so much time with me and having a great chemistry, she knew lying was better. Now she's sorry and crying because she lied. She even opted to quit her job and work somewhere else. I told her she doesn't have to do that as I don't want to be a controlling narcissist. But I need to take care of my mental health, and I'm seeking counseling right now. And for the moment, I need some time alone to get a better grip on myself. I even consider postponing our wedding. I see a great future with her. I want her to be part of my life. But deep down, something is killing me. I want her to be part of my life, but deep down, something is killing me. Seems the truth is in plain sight, my dude. You feel like crap because your girlfriend lied to you because she knew you wouldn't like the answer. Being promiscuous before she met you isn't necessarily bad, but lying to you about it was. Personally, I would have a hard time not wondering what else she may have done that with. I'd personally postpone the wedding. You aren't doing the right thing by going to counseling, but you need to give yourself time to work through this. You need to be able to trust your partner in any successful relationship. If you come to the conclusion that you can't, it's better to do so before a wedding. Being promiscuous isn't necessarily bad, but there's something crappy about virtually every male that's in both your lives having slept with their significant other. I worked with a girl like that. She had slept with at least 10 guys from our workspace. I legitimately think it was near 20 in about 2 years. She would bring different guys to the brewery after work or to company parties. It sounds horrible, but the guys were all a joke to our workplace, because it was like, how long are they going to last? You see them trying to hella hard with their appearance and the way they carry themselves? It was a male-dominated workplace, so they always projected a certain way. All the while, even the managers are speculating on who she's going to let inside her next. Your girlfriend lied to you because she knew you wouldn't like the answer, which will be a constant theme in this relationship and marriage. So why bother being in this relationship? You definitely need to postpone the wedding. It isn't just your feelings about her past that you need to address. It's the betrayal of trust that she lied to you deliberately as a way to get what she wanted, despite knowing you wouldn't want it if you knew the real her. Also, the fact that she never would have told you the truth herself. If you had it found out from someone else, she would have lied to you forever. Those are some very serious issues that you need to address both individually and at couples counseling before you marry her. Exactly. I'm not one to yell massive red flags or whatever easily, but this is no casual lie or whatever. She manipulated him into getting into a relationship by creating a premise that wasn't true. Insecurity about past intimate partners isn't something that just goes away, but she was treating it like that. She said lying was the best option at the time. What she forgot to mention was that it was the best option for her, not for them or their relationship. She didn't lie to protect Opie. She lied to protect herself. Maybe counseling will help, but I doubt if they will re-find mutual trust in their relationship. This chick put you in a room surrounded by all the dudes she used to sleep with, and you were the only one in the room who didn't know the dynamic? That's messed up. Even more than the lies, that's messed up to me. Dude who told you is a bro. Agree on a coworker being a bro. Couldn't believe the comments in Nopi's previous post. He is lying. Trust your girlfriend. People seem not to get that telling a man his girlfriend is the town bicycle is a dangerous thing to do. The coworker risked getting into a fist fight to give Opie that information. Dump the lying girlfriend and go buy the coworker a beer. Next story is titled, Update. My 19 female friend, 19 male, acts like I'm his girlfriend. Original story. I have a group of guy friends I hang out with decently often. We mostly play video games and D&D, and they have started meeting up and going out in person. One guy in particular is a little weird. I'll call him Matt. I was initially closest with him, but I still consider him a good friend. But he's quite possessive. Makes passive-aggressive comments when I hang out with the other guys. And whenever we do hang out as a group, he keeps trying to hold my hand and awkwardly put his arm around me. Whenever he tries to initiate hand-holding, I just give him a high five. Lol. Everything came to a head yesterday when I hung out with 3 other guys from our group without him. He was invited, but at the last second, the rest of us were literally at the restaurant and seated. He told us he had swapped shifts with a coworker. We went ahead and ate anyway since we were already there. And to be honest, it was probably better he didn't come because he has a very basic palate. And we went to a hot pot place that was predominantly organ meat that he would never eat. We're all very Asian and is white. So we ate and hung out for a bit at a park and went home. The second I connected to Wi-Fi, my phone was inundated with messages from Matt asking me to play a game with him, or asking what I'm up to. And when I told him we had eaten, he got really upset and accused me of being a bad friend. Not any of the other guys, just me because it's just different. I was confused because wasn't he working? His excuse was that the shifts got messed up, but he expected us to just cancel the hangout. I don't really believe him, because if his shift really did get messed up, he could have texted me or any one of our other friends and we could have told him to come down, instead of only messaging me on Discord. I'm basically notorious in our friend group for having a terrible prepaid phone plan from 7-Eleven, so I have no data. So I think he did that to check if I was out or at home. I know a lot of people are going to tell me just talk to him, but I feel like unless he straight up confesses, he's just going to deny anything I say and probably react really poorly. I tell him not to hold my hand and call him stuff like champ and pal to dissuade his behavior, but he's undeterred. How can I subtly friend-zone him without wrecking our friendship? Now for the top advice before reading the update. I feel like unless he straight up confesses, he's just going to deny anything I say and probably react really poorly. He probably will, and that's okay. Seriously, you don't need him to buy into this. You don't need him to admit what's going on. You don't need him to react well. What you do need is for him to stop this crap. That's all. If I were you, I'd pull together a clear and concise list of behaviors that need to stop and tell him, "Hey Matt, there are some things that have been an issue for me, and in order for us to keep being friends, I need them to stop. Don't touch me anymore. Don't try to hold my hand or put your arm around me. I need you to stop constantly messaging me, and I need you to accept that I'm going to be hanging out with other friends, sometimes without you there. I'm not going to apologize for that, and I'm not going to tolerate a guilt trip over it. I'm getting the impression that you're into me, so I need to say now that I'm not interested in you. Can you stop doing those things?" From there, if he denies it, say, "Great. We're on the same page that there is nothing between us, and there will never be. Can I trust that you're going to stop touching me and messaging so much?" If he gives you any response other than, "Yeah, sorry, now that I know it's an issue, it won't happen again," cut this dude off. He can't be trusted. I know you called this guy your friend, but honestly, I don't think this man is your friend. He sounds like someone who is interested in you romantically and is just waiting for an opportunity to swoop in, or wear you down enough with his affection that you'll suddenly see what a great and caring guy he is, in his mind, that you end up falling for him. His behavior is not friendly behavior. If he truly valued you as a friend, he would not try to engage in physical contact that you repeatedly rebuff. The problem with these types of people is that they do not understand subtlety, or they refuse to acknowledge it, so you have to be explicit and straightforward. Unfortunately, they also don't respond well to rejection, so it's also likely that he will try to tell you that you misinterpreted his behavior and try to frame it like there's something wrong with you. You gave him mixed signals, or it's your fault for misinterpreting his innocent behavior. It's all gaslighting, so don't fall for it. So, I would just tell him explicitly what behaviors make you uncomfortable and that you need him to stop those behaviors in order to remain friends with you. If he reacts negatively or defensively, he's not your friend. If he's not willing to have a relationship with you on your terms, a platonic one, then it's just evidence that he wasn't really interested in your friendship in the first place and just wanted to try to pursue you romantically. And now for the update. I decided to bring it up with my other guy friends and discussed how to handle things as a group so it doesn't get too messy. A couple of my other friends noticed the behavior and wasn't sure what exactly was going on between us, and some of them had no idea but believed me regardless, which I'm grateful for. We decided the next time he would try to make jabs at me for spending time with other people or try to touch me, the other guys would call him out on it. We all hung out at a park yesterday, and of course Matt tried to put his arms around my waist. And when I started squirming, he held on tighter, which made me panic. Our friends started telling him to let go of me, but he just laughed and said he was joking around. They ended up having to get a little physical and pushed him away from me. And Matt flipped out and started calling them simps and jealous C-blockers before leaving. One of our friends is going to try to talk some sense into him, but for me, that was the last straw. It's hard because they've all been friends since elementary school, while I met them rather recently. But the majority of the boys are totally disgusted with Matt and are going to cut him off. Thank you again for everyone who has weighed in. I'm hoping this is the last update I'll make and I consider this issue to be resolved. Simps and jealous C-blockers? This guy has issues. And he obviously doesn't think much of you. No thanks. Yeah, the comment reveals his true intentions. Good riddance. Wow, that guy's definitely a creep. Don't understand how anyone can be part of society and think that behavior is acceptable. That's awesome they recognized his behavior for what it was and took action. Sounds like you've found yourself a good group of friends. Yeah, honestly, I was worried they were going to back him, considering they've been friends for so long. So I'm relieved that they believed and supported me. Now for the last story. My wife, 22 female, and I, 29 male, are divorcing after she got caught cheating. Man, this sucks. I've invested every bit of time and energy into making a wonderful home for our family. We have 2 kids together that are pretty young as well. We've been together for a few years and got married about 10 months ago. As far as I know, everything was great till about 4 months ago, which I'm sure isn't really the case, but that's the way it was perceived. My wife is diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, but untreated. Over the last couple weeks, she's hooked up with 2 other guys on multiple occasions, both of which are also married with kids. She has been talking with multiple others, male and female. All this while she's telling me she wants us to do marriage counseling and work on bettering our relationship. I found out a couple days ago that she had been seeing them over last weekend, when she would say she was running errands and hooking up with them. I'm just distraught at this moment. The dude she was seeing just broke everything off with her because his wife caught him as well. And same scenario with dude number 2. How do I stop being so pathetic about it all? Why do I still want her after all this mess? Why can't I just give her up? Can't sleep, I can't eat. Just take care of the kids and go to work. She's also been coming over to see the kids every day since, and we've been having family days with all of us together doing stuff. But she has absolutely no intentions in wanting to come back. She's living in her car and banging tweakers now, instead of being with her family that loves her unconditionally. And even though every part of me tells me that I don't want anything to do with her, the heart wants what it wants, I reckon. Sorry for the wall of text, just needed to get this stuff out. You need to get a lawyer and keep this woman away from you and your kids. Untreated mental health, banging crackheads? This can get really messy really fast. Get it documented as much as possible. This is a good reason to get primary or sole custody. You need to protect your children first. Edited to add, medical reports or police reports are relevant. Not your own log, because they won't pay attention to that. I would say her living in her car would qualify for an involuntary psych-hold, but I don't know. Talk to a lawyer before talking to her. In the US, mental health records are destroyed after 7 years, so if her diagnosis is before that, it will no longer count. Get a divorce lawyer ASAP. If she is banging crackheads, she is almost certainly also using illicit substances, and you should be filing for full custody and insisting on clean test results before she can have visitation. Sounds like she's using favors in exchange for D's.
Update. I found out my fiancé's dad died last month, and no one told us, and she missed the funeral. Original post. Hi, I don't even really know how to start this or what I'm asking exactly. I guess I just want to understand what happened and maybe get some advice on how to help my fiancé deal with this, because it's a lot. And I think she's starting to blame herself, which she really shouldn't. So I, 27 male, proposed to my fiancé, 26 female, back in March. Her dad was the only person I talked to beforehand. I asked for his blessing and he was super kind about it. I only met him a couple times before that, but we had a good conversation, and I could tell he really loved her. The thing is, I only met his wife, her stepmom, once, that same day. It was brief and polite, but that's it. Everything else about our engagement planning and updates was through her dad. Her dad has another kid with his stepmom, a teenage son, 17. My fiancé always kind of kept some distance from that part of her dad's life. It wasn't like she hated them or anything, just they weren't close. Her dad would check in, sometimes visit her on his own, but it always kind of felt like he had 2 separate families. I never really thought too hard about it, it just was what it was. Then in April, while we were starting to figure out the engagement party and save the dates and all that, he passed away. We didn't even know. We didn't hear anything from anyone. No call, no texts, not even a weird silence. Nothing. We only found out this week because one of her cousins posted something online about missing him after the funeral, and my fiancé texted them like, "What do you mean the funeral?" And they were like, "Everyone was surprised you didn't show." She just shut down. I think she's still in shock. Her dad is gone. She didn't get to say goodbye. She didn't even get told he was dead. The funeral already happened. She missed it, and no one told her. Not her stepmom, not even her own brother, not anyone. And what makes it worse is, now that she's tried to reach out to people, cousins, Her aunt, even her dad's friend, she keeps getting these weird half responses that make her feel like she should have known or been there. Like they're judging her for not showing up when nobody invited her in the first place. She keeps asking me if she did something wrong. She's wondering if her dad was mad at her. I do think he was happy for us, but now I don't even know what's true anymore. I guess I just don't understand how something like this happens. I know grief makes people act strange, and there might be stuff we don't know. I don't want to assume the worst about her stepmom. Maybe she was overwhelmed or didn't have our contact info, though I feel like she must have had some way to reach out. But I also don't want to make excuses for someone who let my fiancé find out her dad died a month later from a Facebook post. It's starting to feel uncomfortably close to full-on evil stepmom territory, and I hate even thinking that, but this just feels so cold. She's devastated, and I don't know what I'm supposed to say or do. I can't fix it. She just keeps saying she can't believe she wasn't there, that she wasn't even given the chance, and I'm angry too, but mostly I just feel helpless and sad for her. I guess what I'm really asking is, how do I help my fiancé grieve someone she didn't even get the chance to say goodbye to? She keeps wondering if her dad was upset with her, or if she missed some sign, and now the way her family's reacting is only making her feel worse. I want to support her without making her feel like she has to perform grief on anyone else's timeline, or carry blame for something that was never her fault. Now for the top advice before reading the updates. I am so sorry for what you both are going through. That is absolutely heartbreaking she wasn't told, and frankly, unforgivable in my book. She deserves the chance to say goodbye. The best thing you can do is support her. Maybe try to figure out if he was buried, and if so, maybe try to visit the grave so she can have some form of closure. If he was cremated, maybe still plan something for her to be able to celebrate him and say goodbye in her own way. Either way, the situation is super messed up and she did nothing wrong. The family is seriously messed up for not telling her. Thank you so much for saying this. It really means a lot right now. I think hearing someone else call it what it is, unforgivable, helps validate what she's feeling, even though I know she's still trying to find some reason for why it happened. We've talked about trying to find out where he was buried, but it's so hard to even know where to start when no one's talking to her. I think you're right though, she needs a way to say goodbye, whatever that ends up looking like. I just don't want her carrying this weight like she did something wrong, because she didn't. 100% you and her are totally validated in how you feel. This is seriously next level wrong of the family. I wish you both healing, and I really hope she is able to find some way to say goodbye. And I'm sure it's impossible for her to see right now, but she didn't do anything wrong, and just may need to be reminded of that for a bit. Thank you so much for this. It really means a lot. I think hearing that she's not crazy for feeling this way or overreacting is going to help more than she even realizes right now. She keeps replaying everything in her head and wondering what she missed or what she did wrong, and I've been trying to remind her that none of this was her fault. But I know it's going to take time for her to believe that. We're definitely going to try to find a way for her to say goodbye. Something just for her, even if it's small. Just thank you again for the kindness. Mini update, posted a few hours later. I found where her dad is buried and got contact info for who I think is her half-brother. When I showed her the profile to confirm, she shut down and panicked, but it did confirm for me that it's definitely him. She doesn't want to reach out right now, but I might. Now for the first update. We finally found out where her dad was buried, and I managed to get in touch with her half-brother. When I showed her who I thought it was, she panicked and did not want anything to do with it. She still does not know I went ahead and talked to him. To be honest, I expected lies or deflection, but what I got was more frustrating. He was not defensive, just cryptic. He said he knows exactly why her side of the family cut her off, and that she knows too. He would not tell me what it was, and just kept saying I should ask her because I would not believe him anyway. Then he added sarcastically that if she is even capable of telling me the truth, I would already know. He did say he had tried calling and texting her after their dad passed, but she has him blocked on everything. He also said he tried to make sure she was included, but she made it clear a long time ago that she wanted nothing to do with him. He knows she has always hated him just for existing. He ended the conversation by saying he was calling her bluff, that she does not really want anything to do with her dad's side of the family. He even asked, did she ever say she was inviting any of them to the wedding? That part stung a little. I will not pretend to know the full story, but I am starting to feel like this is not a case of one person being awful. It feels more like years of silence and resentment that turned into something cruel. We did get some clarity on the legal side. There probably will not be a fight with the stepmom. The brother told me everything that is needed. We are working with a lawyer, but it will take time. The executor has up to 2 years before probate has to start. Even then, anything she may be entitled to would be split evenly with him, and only applies to accounts that were solely in her father's name. We are not expecting anything substantial, but she deserves to know she was not forgotten. Since real closure is out of reach, we are creating our own. Someone suggested planting a memorial tree. We loved that idea. We are currently looking for a good starter tree, and she is going to write her father a letter to bury under it. It is not a solution, but it is something real and peaceful she can hold on to. There probably will not be another update. I am realizing that trying to untangle her family's damage might only hurt our relationship. If I want a healthy marriage, I need to protect her peace more than I need to win a fight that was lost a long time ago. And what did your fiancé say? She does not know. I have not told her that I talked to her brother. Right now, I do not see a version of that conversation that ends well. If I tell her, I risk breaking trust and reopening wounds she might not be ready to face. So for now, I am just focusing on supporting her through the grief and letting her heal at her own pace. But this just shows your immaturity. Marriage is about communication and being able to say things like, honey, I need to tell you something. I was trying to do a good thing, and I think it backfired. I reached out to your stepbrother because I wanted to get information on the burial site, so I could facilitate you having a better goodbye with your father. Your stepbrother told me a bunch of things that I want to tell you. I have anxiety around telling you this because I don't want to upset you, but I need to be honest here and not keep a secret. I don't put much weight into what he told me, but he told me X, Y, and Z. Do you want to talk about that stuff, or do you prefer to let it go? I'm fine either way, but I want you to know I did have that conversation in an attempt to do something nice and thoughtful for you. Based on what he told me, I wished I hadn't reached out, but I just wanted to make sure you were aware. Look, it's pretty telling that nobody told your fiancé about his death. She has aunts, uncles, and cousins, right? Are they all blocked too? Or is there actually a good reason why they didn't contact your fiancé? I suspect you won't have a peaceful marriage when she has been so secretive, and it's pretty obvious that the rest of the family is not on her side. Yup. You mean to tell me that no one from her family could reach out to her or wanted to? Either her entire family and extended family are all a-holes, or your fiancé is the a-hole. The latter seems more likely. Now for the final update. I've taken time to process everything before writing this because I wanted to be clear-headed and fair. This isn't just about a relationship ending. It's about recognizing how far I'd strayed from myself and what I allowed in the name of love, patience, and hope. After the engagement ended, she moved in with a friend from work, but by then, things had already been unraveling for a while. I had believed I was being supportive and compassionate, giving her time to grieve and space to share on her own terms. But the truth was, I was being emotionally manipulated. She pretended to want to reconcile with her brother after hearing about her father's death. At the time, it felt like a breakthrough. I thought she was softening, maybe healing. But that was just a performance to win sympathy and deflect hard questions. The more I learned, the clearer it became that she had no real interest in reconnecting, only in looking like the victim. What's hard to admit is how many times she manipulated me subtly, shaping narratives and using silence or emotional withdrawal to make me prioritize her, even over lifelong friends and family. I now see how isolated I became. One friend I reconnected with after everything joked, "You didn't date her, you ran her PR campaign." It hit harder than I expected because in some ways, it felt true. There were moments where I wasn't just supporting her, I was constantly explaining basic respect, empathy, and how to show up in a relationship. It started to feel less like a partnership and more like I was trying to teach someone how to be a decent person. That kind of emotional labor takes a toll, and looking back, I can see how much of myself I lost in the process. I had reached out to her brother initially to confront him, but his response was surprisingly calm and cryptic even. After the breakup, I spoke to him again, and this time he told me the truth. The family had cut her off because of repeated abusive outbursts, not just toward her father, but also toward her stepmother and brother. He said I wouldn't have seen it because she saved that side of herself for them. He even brought her father's old phone. The texts between her and her dad were awful, cruel, manipulative, and downright abusive. Honestly, I don't even know how or why her dad stayed in contact with her after receiving the things she wrote. If my own child ever said those things to me, I would have cried and cut contact. No parent deserves that level of cruelty. After her father passed, she started lashing out at me too. That's when the pattern revealed itself. Ironically, she didn't even mind that I spoke to her brother until she found out I helped him with a scholarship site. And help is a stretch. I mentioned the Common App, something I always bring up when college comes up in conversation. It's not some special effort. I've told my own cousins the same thing. It's a single application site that makes you sound like you know your stuff and gets kids on track fast. If they apply through it, they're pretty much guaranteed to get into somewhere. She knew this. She had seen me do it with my family. But this time, she twisted it into a betrayal like I'd committed some criminal offense. She realized I had spoken to her brother because I showed her a Reddit post to help her understand where I was coming from. That's when everything shifted. Even then, I didn't end things immediately. I asked if we could slow down and delay the wedding. Instead of meeting me with honesty or reflection, she shut down and turned hostile. Maybe it was her way of pushing me away, but if so, it worked. After the breakup, she kept reaching out, apologizing, saying she'd get help. But I had already asked her to consider therapy earlier in our relationship, and she refused every time. Now that everything has come to light, I can't see myself marrying her, much less raising a child with someone who hides so much, lashes out when cornered, and only offers change when everything is already broken. My family has been nothing but supportive through all of this. My sister is even staying with me right now. She joked that it's for my protection, but honestly, it just feels good to have family around again. For the first time in a while, I feel like myself. So that's it. No more what-ifs or excuses. Just the truth and a fresh start. There won't be any more updates as this account serves no purpose anymore. I remember reading the previous updates before and thinking something was amiss, but I wasn't expecting it to be this bad. I'm glad OP got out when he did. It sounds like he was really trying to be emotionally mature about everything. It has to be quite the shock, coming up against this level of manipulation, assuming he's never seen anything like it before. He certainly acts like he's never been close to someone like her before. At least he knows what it looks like now, so he can be more prepared for it in the future. Yep, I mean, this makes sense with everything that came before. Her behavior, her relationships. It makes sense to me for her to have been the instigator more than the victim. The dad loving her, but not bringing his wife and son around. The relatives hinting at blame for her not being at the funeral, probably knowing full well she blocked the people who tried to notify her. The cryptic brother not saying anything specific, the panic and refusing to talk about it. It makes sense to me. Even her devastation makes sense. Anyone would be devastated, but also, abusers love to feel sorry for themselves. If your partner grows to loathe the people who know your past, great. Makes them easier to manipulate. Last story. My friend tried to set me up, and now I know the truth. About 6 months ago, my friend wanted to set me up with a girl who he thought I was hitting it off with. I wasn't looking to date, but she seemed cool, so I went for it. Things were going great, but my friend was always sort of lingering and being weird about our relationship. Making comments, trying to insert himself on our dates, talking smack about me when I tried to do something nice. A couple months into us dating, things imploded in a spectacular fashion. She ghosted me, popped back up, told me she just had a bad few weeks, then proceeded to stand me up in spectacular fashion for a date I had planned, where she picked the day and time. After a bit of back and forth and some half-hearted excuses, she left me on red after I told her that she should have given me a heads up if she couldn't make our date. It wasn't an emergency or anything that would prevent her from sending a quick text. I decided I didn't want to play those kinds of games. She never reached out, and I didn't run after her when she went cold. I ran into her at the friend's house a couple months later, a party that turned out just to be me, him, and her. And she gaslit me by claiming I just sort of disappeared out of nowhere. It brought me some closure to realize that she either delusional or into mind games. Not going to lie, that the whole thing messed me up a bit. I've had relationships end before, but this felt horribly cruel. I'm finally starting to feel better, realizing that this wasn't my fault, and sometimes people are terrible to each other. My friend has resurfaced with seemingly weekly parties that he invites me and no fewer than 50 other people to. I haven't really wanted to go because although I'm feeling better about what went down, I don't want another situation where it's just the three of us again. This week he sent out another message about a party that he's having, saying that he's going to turn in early, but as long as his girlfriend doesn't kick people out, they can stay as long as they like. His girlfriend is the girl he set me up with. They have been dating since before he set us up, and now they live together. My friend is polyamorous. It seems like he had some weird plan to secretly get me into a polyamorous relationship with his girlfriend, and then watch, participate, have weird fantasies about it. Anyways, I have never felt more gross and disgusted in my life. Safe to say he's not a friend anymore. Now for the comments. That's really freaking weird though, honestly. Sounds like crappy people you don't need in your life. I'm sorry you had to go through that. Run in the opposite direction of these two. These kinds of people aren't welcome in polyam spaces because they're toxic as heck. So sorry that happened to you. The specific LS community in my city that he's a part of and his explanation of being poly seems to be so far from what polyamory as I understood it. I'll just say this has been an eye-opening experience in so many ways.
Update. Am I the a-hole for canceling a trip because my fiancé's ex and her baby are coming? Original post. I, female 32, have been with Kyle, male 37, for 2.5 years. We got engaged 6 months ago. Kyle has been divorced for over 5 years now. He was married to Elena, female 37. They have a son, Grayson, male 8. Elena has a toddler from a guy she met after her divorce and dated briefly. Ella, female 2.5. Grayson is a wonderful little kid. He has his room in our house and he is so loved by all of us. Kyle and Elena are good friends and co-parenting great. The problem I have is she is everywhere. Beside holidays and birthdays, which I understand, Christmas, Grayson's birthday, Thanksgiving, Elena and her baby are pretty much invited to any family functions, such as Kyle's birthday, Kyle's parents' anniversary, my birthday. Yes, Kyle invited her to my birthday, even our camping trips. I've talked to Kyle many times, but he thinks I'm being insecure for no reason and making a big deal about nothing. I booked a trip to Mexico for January for me, Kyle, and Grayson. Then, Kyle told Elena that on the last week of January, we will have Grayson for extra weeks since he is coming with us to Mexico. Apparently, Elena managed to ask him about our trip dates. Details. As on Facebook, she was posting about swimsuit shopping for upcoming trip. Kyle texted her and asked her if she's going somewhere that week too. She said she researched our hotel and I took advantage of the same deal as you guys. So I guess we will see you there. Haha. I told Kyle then we are canceling the trip, and he said he can't because tickets are non-refundable. I told him that I'm not going. I want for once have a family vacation without his ex-wife. I want a family vacation without his ex-wife, but Kyle thinks there's nothing we can do now. We need to address this for future plans and be more clear about boundaries. Now for the top comments before reading the update. Why are you with this guy again? I know it can't be because he's that good in bed. No way in hell. Or maybe he is, and that's why his ex is still into him. He's got her hypnotized too. You don't have kids with Mr. Have My Cake and Eat It Too. You can walk away. I would strongly suggest doing so. Because they're not just co-parenting. He's banging her. OMG, I laughed really hard at the first part. No, he is not. Lol. He is okay, but not great. Overall, he is a very kind and loving man. He just can't say no, and his ex walks all over him. No, I don't have kids, and I'm seriously thinking about ending this before it's too late. Because I'm nosy, why did they get divorced? If it's kid-related stuff, fine. But the rest? Is he actually inviting her, or is she inviting herself and he doesn't like saying no? Don't marry him unless he starts having boundaries with her, or this will be the rest of your life. Not the a-hole. They got divorced because, as Elena said, they became roommates, even sleeping separately for years. They went for counseling for a long time, but they both decided it was not working out. Kyle moved out, trial separation, then they got divorced. She met another guy, got pregnant almost right away, then broke up with him when their baby was an infant. Not the a-hole. There's good co-parenting and there's this. It's nice that they're friends, that they and you are great with Grayson. But you not getting any alone time will drive you apart. And Elena's reveling in it. Elena is a single mom and probably wants to get back with Kyle. This isn't right. Your boyfriend is not looking after you properly. He needs to back up, or this will not work for you and Kyle. Kyle basically has 2 wives at this point. OP needs to put her foot down, and he needs to grow a spine. My husband's ex would show up right after he left for work, at 6 a.m. She would bring me donuts, start cleaning and folding the kids' clothes, asking me my intentions with her ex-husband, since they clearly are still united in effort, blah blah blah. It was bizarre, but the donuts were nice. I could do without her just walking through the door though. Now for the update. First of all, thank you for every single comment. I read all of them. Kyle came home late last night since he was working on a project with his coworker. He saw me awake and got surprised and asked, "Is everything okay?" I said, "We need to talk." I basically told him that either he tells Elena to cancel her trip and establishes boundaries, or we are done. He said, "Oh my god, are you still on this? I'll talk to her for future events. Let it go for Pete's sake." I said, "No, this has been my life since we met. She and her baby are always in my hair. I get upset, you convince me to let it go this time, then it happens again." I reminded him that last June, we hosted Elena's baby's birthday at our backyard and paid for and did everything, and he told me to let it go. Where is the limit? Will she be invited to our wedding and be in a bridal party? Will she be at our honeymoon? Will she be at the delivery room when I give birth? He said, "We are both tired. Why don't we talk tomorrow?" I told him I can't wait until then. "Will you ask Elena to cancel her trip and tell her about my boundaries?" He said, "I can't make her do anything as she's no longer my wife. I can tell her you don't like her and you can't stand her. Happy?" I said, "I don't feel like I'm ever gonna be your wife. She's more your wife than I'll ever be. She just doesn't like to put out, so you got me for that." That's how I feel. I feel so unloved. "If we break up and Elena takes you back, would you get back together with her?" He said, "Stop. You know how much I love you. Why are you saying these nonsense?" I ask again and again. He said, "What do you want me to say? That if I'm single, will I work things out with Elena? I guess." I got my answer. I gave him the ring and said, "I'll leave tomorrow morning." He said, "What? Are you serious? What is going on tonight?" He started saying how we were gonna get married and have babies. He knows I left my previous boyfriend because he didn't want to get married, and he begged me to not leave before the holidays. He suggested staying and starting counseling in January. I told him, I really don't have energy or time for this. He started crying. I was awake all night crying on and off. In the morning, he made me breakfast and hugged me, which was so uncomfortable, and said, "Please don't end it permanently. Let's be in touch and work on our relationship." I told him, "No, I just can't. Sorry." Again, he cried and left for work. I talked to my brother in the morning, and he and his girlfriend will let me stay with them until I find my place. I wrapped the Christmas gifts, for Grace and mostly to him, and left them under the tree so they can open them on Christmas morning. He asked if I'd at least join them for Christmas morning. I said no. As for the tickets, they were on my credit card. I'll call Air Canada today to see if I can transfer them to my brother and his girlfriend. I'm so grateful for letting me stay at their place. Sorry commenting again, but he legit wanted to paint you as the bad guy and say you didn't like her, instead of telling her that she was overstepping. Damn OP. I'm calling it now. He'll get back together with her. Heal yourself from this relationship so you'll never accept crumbs for a relationship. That's what hit me the most. I'm gonna tell her you hate her and cannot stand her, instead of telling her that I'm his future wife and respect her boundaries. Throwing me in front of the bus. Wondering how his ex would react. Lol, I was thinking the same thing. She may be like, "Oh damn, I was just having fun stringing him on a bit and screwing with him, but now that OP has dumped him, he's going to be all up in my business 24/7. She may be getting exactly what she deserves too. Depending on what the ex-wife's motives are here, she may be like, "Dude, you never told me I was crossing a line." If you would have said I was making OP uncomfortable, I would have backed off. I thought you both wanted me there. Are you stupid? You better get her back ASAP, because I don't want you back. Or she may have gotten what she wanted all along, which is her ex-husband back, of course not acknowledging that the same problems that existed before are going to be right back. OMG, I'm so thrilled you nailed this before a wedding or a pregnancy. You were, indeed, just going to be third-wheeling in their prefab world. You deserve better. Go get it. Except Elena doesn't want to be in actual relationship with him. I think she wants the relationship but not the sex. That seems to be what the whole situation is implying. And that if Elena had more sex with him, OP's ex wouldn't have split from his wife. That's what I took from that. Or he was trying to create a sister-wives thing. One is his emotional wife and the other is his bangmaid. So thank God OP broke up. No one should stay where they aren't loved. Well, according to OP in comments on her previous post, he isn't very good in bed, and she needs a toy to finish. So that may be why Elena doesn't want the intimacy part. Heck, OP said she was with him because he's a really nice and kind person. Next story. Am I the a-hole for ghosting my girlfriend of 8 years and not giving her money for our trip? So about 2 months ago, me and my girlfriend of 8 years took a trip together to Europe for 2 weeks. It was an amazing vacation and we had an incredible time. But after we returned, she started acting increasingly distant from me. She went to a wedding and had a +1 but didn't invite me or tell me about it until a few days before. Then she ignored my calls while I was away on a business trip and never texted to return them until after I got back. When she finally picked up, I asked her what happened in a very nonchalant and unaccusatory way, and she didn't give any sort of solid answer. When I pressed her about it, she always gets upset at me if I don't call her back, even if it's just like an hour later. She just screamed at me, "I didn't feel like talking to you. How about I never talk to you again?" And hung up. Tried calling her back, she didn't pick up. Sent her a text a day or two later, no response. At this point, something inside me just kind of broke. Like, we've had fights way bigger than this, and I've always tried to patch it up with her because I was head over heels for her. But this time it was as if the in-love feeling just vanished instantly. I think it was because her reaction was so unprovoked. 3 weeks later, she calls me and I freeze. I don't pick up. She starts sending angry messages telling me I better pick up or else, and accuses me of cheating. I didn't. I don't pick up because I know it's going to be an absolute crap show of a phone call. Another 2 weeks have passed, and I've kind of accepted that the relationship is over. But I feel guilty about not paying her back for the trip. We used her card while traveling abroad because mine has a foreign transaction fee. The trip was expensive, about $20,000 total, $10,000 of which has already been split. Stuff we booked before traveling. Essentially, I owe her roughly $5,000. Before the fight, I had mentioned, at least on 3 occasions, that we should sort out our finances for the trip, and if she wanted, she could send me her credit card statement and I would sort through it myself and then pay her back. However, she kept brushing it off and said we'd do it later. Regardless of how she acted, I'm a person that believes in always paying back what is owed ASAP, and I'm feeling guilty about it. Like, I literally will always Venmo people before they leave my sites. So my question is this: if we never talk again and I never pay her back, am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. It's better to close out this chapter so you can start fresh. It also closes the door and doesn't allow her to use that as an excuse to try to get back in touch once her affair partner leaves her. And just find a way so that you don't have to be in direct contact with her for the funds transfer. I agree. You want to walk out of this clean and be done. I would send her a message requesting an itemized total of what you owe with receipts for credit card statements. If she doesn't make your best guess, and if you are feeling petty, send 75%. I think it is best to annihilate the ties that she can use to try to drag you back into contact. But you can probably duck paying her back if you want to. I'll defer the part about paying back the money as that has been addressed. However, I don't get it. 8 years together and then an enjoyable trip, presumably, and then poof, out of nowhere ghosting you? Something is not adding up. Even though suggesting cheating. But when? On the trip? OP, after 8 years, you should know her well enough to suspect what's going on. What do you think happened, if you had to guess? Everyone is jumping to cheating, but I wonder if she's pregnant. Either that or she expected a proposal. Now that I look at that, probably the latter. Especially if she was the one spending all the money on the trip. Edit. Thanks everyone for the input. I did read everyone's comments, but unfortunately I don't have time to reply to all of them. Most people are saying I should pay her back, though a good number are saying not to. I think I'm going to offer to pay her back one last time, via text.
So there's a record of it. My previous attempts were just over phone calls. Many people suggested I just give her $5,000, which I think is my fault because I made it seem like it was pretty close to that amount. But in actuality, it might be anywhere between $30,000 to $7,000. And I don't feel comfortable ballparking it in case I overpay or underpay. As I said, thousands of dollars is significant to me, but nothing to her. So I think I'm just going to ask her to send her a credit card statement and that we both go over it separately to determine the amount. Also, lots of people said she's upset because I didn't propose on the trip. That isn't it. We've discussed marriage. She wasn't ready, and I had told her that I wouldn't propose again until after she told me she was ready. Last story. I blocked my now ex-girlfriend after finding out she was engaged and didn't tell me. But she's depressed right now. Just want to get this off my chest because this has been a whirlwind. My now ex-girlfriend, female 28, recently distanced herself from me, male 26, due to mental health issues. Of course, I was very concerned about this and tried to stay supportive without pressuring her during a tough time in her life. We slowly stopped talking. The relationship was newer, so I didn't know her friends very well. I decided to find their social media to see if I can stay in contact with them for updates about her well-being. My ex-girlfriend had told me during our 6 months that she doesn't use social media. When I found her friends online, I also found out that my ex does have social media and uses it regularly. To my surprise, I find out she has been engaged to someone since 2019. When checking public records, her fiancé's primary address was listed the same as hers. I was shocked and asked her about these things, despite her mental state. She denied the relationship and said they broke it off in 2020, to which I presented her with a photo of them in 2022. She told me she always lived alone and bought her place out of interest for seeing new areas, not living with a fiancé. She said I was being crazy and said it's none of my business. She told me to leave her alone, and I said gladly, to which she wildly kept on talking. I think she panicked and realized she was losing part of her support system. Part of me is shocked, happy, and relieved to have found the truth and GTFO of there before I get myself into a mess with this person. But part of me feels terrible for leaving her when she's struggling and most likely adding to it. I guess I will never know what the full truth is, or if she was even struggling. Am I a terrible person for doing this? When she's struggling and most likely adding to it. Sounds like she's the one throwing herself in over her head and then expecting others to pull her out. She lied. She got caught. She isn't willing to face the consequences, not the a-hole. I feel awful because I did genuinely want to help her during this time and be there for her. So that part kind of still stings and makes me feel guilty. I'm working on it. That's what her fiancé is for. Lol, valid. I'm happy to let him deal with that mess of a person. She gaslit and lied to you. That's messed up, dude. Isolate and work on yourself and your happiness. She dug her own hole by lying. Did you try to reach out to the fiancé? I did not, but I want to so badly. I feel terrible for the guy and I feel like he should know, but I don't want to create more problems. I would have never started a relationship with her had I known. Not sure how to approach that or if I should. I'd want to know if I was the guy she was about to marry. I'm sure you would too. Provide as much proof as you can and don't bring it up in an attacking way. This is a vulnerable and uncomfortable situation for both you and him. Was it an online-only interaction? I definitely would want to know. You're right. I don't have too much physical evidence. After blocking her and deleting our messages, I don't have much proof left to give, unfortunately. Now for the mini update. Did contact the fiancé. We'll let you know what happens if you respond. Update. Am I the a-hole for buying my daughter a gift when I didn't buy my fiancé's kids one? Original post. My 30 male daughter's 14 female Nintendo Switch completely stopped working earlier this week. She got it the month it was released, March 2017, and has kept it in good condition for over 6 years. Yesterday, she had her conference cross-country meet, where she both PR'd and qualified to run state. To celebrate her new achievements, I took her out to eat, and then bought her a new Nintendo Switch with a game she picked out. My fiancée 38 female came back from her parents earlier today and saw my daughter playing with her Switch. She asked me about it after my daughter left with her boyfriend, and I told her that I wanted to celebrate her accomplishments in her running career, so I got her a new Switch as a gift. Fiancé then got really angry and told me that if I'm going to buy my daughter something, then I have to be fair and buy her own kids something too. 19 female, 16 male, 13 male. I pointed out that I do buy her kids gifts, but they reach goals and achievements too. For example, I bought my stepdaughter an expensive Hello Kitty necklace as a high school graduation gift, and I let both the boys pick out 2 video games when they both passed their final exams. She told me that it's unfair I spend more on my daughter than I do on her kids, because I make a lot more than her. Fiancé then got angrier and accused me of not liking her kids because of the different financial treatment between her kids and my kid. She left with her 2 sons, but her daughter stayed with me at a house because she's on my side. I got a bunch of texts from her family calling me a selfish a-hole for treating her kids differently when buying gifts. Am I the a-hole? Edit. To answer some common questions because there's a lot of comments and it's hard to get all of them in a timely manner. How does your fiancé treat your daughter? My daughter and fiancé don't interact much. They're polite to each other, but they simply don't talk much, aside from small talk and my daughter asking her some questions about cooking food. I have mentioned to my daughter before that if my fiancé ever were to mistreat her, she needs to tell me, and I will always have her back no matter what. To my knowledge, my fiancé doesn't mistreat her at all. They just don't talk much. Do you have a will or trust fund in place? I have a will set up that gives my daughter everything. My will is safe with a very trusted lawyer friend of mine. I also have a trust in place for my daughter, and she will gain full access to it once she turns 21. Did you have this argument in front of her children? No, she called her kids down and told them what we were arguing about. I told them my side, and her sons took her side and left with her. What is your relationship like with her kids? How are they with your daughter? My relationship with her sons is unfortunately minimal. I try to talk to them about their favorite topics or hobbies, and they either ignore me or shut the conversation down as soon as possible. I don't talk to them much either, other than when they come to me for advice on things like school, friends, etc. My relationship with her older daughter is very good though. I'd like to think we are close. As for my daughter, she doesn't talk to her stepbrothers much, but she's extremely close with her older sister. Hope this clears up some things. Edit 2. To clear up another few common things being mentioned, my fiancé has not always been this way with my daughter and me. She started getting much more defensive when my daughter finished middle school. I am not with my fiancé for sex. My drive is low and so is hers. Her children's father is not in their life and does not pay child support. My daughter's mother is not in her life either. Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole and maybe reconsider marriage. Oh good, she's only a fiancé. Phew. You know, depending on how many red flags OP and where you are, that could be construed as hurricane warning, and you should seek safety. Not the a-hole. I wonder if fiancé spends equal amounts on OP's daughter too? Maybe probably not, because she has 3 kids to take care of. Look at post history. She kicked off a week ago after OP bought his daughter running shoes, and saying, why didn't he also spend $300 on her kids as well? I wonder how OP doesn't see these as red flags. Not the a-hole. You're not even married, and already this kind of drama has started? Red flag. If she's that particular, she can buy them gifts as well. Or you both could discuss and get all your kids appropriate gifts together. We haven't really discussed financial treatment regarding the kids, but she doesn't buy my daughter anything. I understand that because I make a lot more than her, but I didn't really think anything of her not buying things for my daughter. I'm so sorry to know that. Maybe it's time to have that talk before things get any more serious. It would probably make sense to sign a prenup just in case. She's against signing a prenup because she takes it as me thinking of her as a gold digger, which I don't think she is. We are comfortable staying engaged. She may not be a gold digger, but I am getting definite potential evil stepmother vibes off this. I would definitely get a prenup and have a current will to protect your daughter's interests just in case. Now for the update. I made a post yesterday asking if I was the a-hole because I didn't buy my fiancé's kids gifts when I bought my daughter one. I wanted to thank everyone for the positive feedback and the kind support, as well as the helpful advice I've gotten. A lot of people ask for an update after I have talked to Fiancée, so here you go. She came back at 12 in the morning alone. She said she left the boys at her parents' place because she doesn't, in her words, want them in the presence of a man who won't provide for them. I sat her down and talked to her about a lot of things, and a lot of you are right. This is not the woman I want to marry. When I first brought up how she doesn't bring anything to the table when I pay for everything, she didn't want to talk about it and kept dodging the subject. I brought up how unfair it was of her to expect me to provide for her and her children when she doesn't do anything for my daughter, and the bare minimal for me. She doesn't do house chores, she doesn't pay bills, except her and her daughter's car payments and car insurance, and she spends minimal time with both me and my daughter. Fiancé didn't say anything. Then I talked about the financial and emotional abuse, and she freaked the heck out. She started yelling about how it was my job as the man to provide for her and her kids when I make so much more than her, and they have no father figure. I'm all they had, and she kept bringing that up as an excuse for her behavior towards my money and how I spent it on my daughter. When I asked her about what she expected me to do about my wheeler-up prenup, she told me that any good husband would put his wife above everyone else. She had been banking on me giving her everything I had for over a year at this point. I don't like yelling at all, but I was at my breaking point with her at this point. We yelled at each other a lot. It's not my finest moment, and I'm ashamed, but I realized that I let so much happen and my daughter suffered as a result of it. I told her about her neglect towards my child, and I will not tolerate it any longer. She's my number one priority over everyone else and always will be. I don't think Fiancée believed me when I said that, but I guess she realized I was serious when I told her to start packing. I'm done being an ATM for that lady, and it's crazy to think how strangers on an app made me realize how I was stuck in such a toxic, manipulative, and abusive relationship with her. My now ex-fiancé won't be a problem anymore, I hope. I don't think I'll be with another person for a long time, but thank you to everyone for the support and kindness. Edit. My ex's daughter will be staying with me, and I will financially support her through college. And I will also help her get her own place. Her and I are on good terms, and I want to make sure my ex will not be using her as a token to manipulate me any further. Very happy to read your update. You did the right thing. Choose your daughter every time. Wishing you both all the best. He chose both his daughters. That is outstanding that he kept her daughter too. I'm hijacking your comment because I feel strongly that OP needs to know he is a victim of DV. OP, I work in the DV field. A lot of men are mistreated in various ways, but what we predominantly see is financial and emotional/mental abuse towards men. This is a lot to unravel for you, your child, and ex's daughter. Ex's daughter has probably been through so much as well with this woman as a mother. There is specialized free therapy for victims of DV going through what you are. You can call your state's DV hotline to ask for these referrals. I work in a shelter setting, but my agency also has outpatient, and we are seeing a large increase of males finally speaking up about their experiences. Good luck on your new beginnings. I'm so proud of you. You sound like a great man and father. Wow, OB. Good for you and your daughter. We are proud of you. Make sure she and her kids have no access to your money or credit cards. May have written down account or credit card numbers. Be vigilant. If she does anything illegal, press charges. Change all your locks. Block her and everything, to include all the flying monkeys that try to defend her. Let your daughter know what's going on in case they harass her or try to make you out to be the bad guy. Your daughter will be out of the house before you know it. Spend time with her, making lasting memories for you both. Focus on you and what makes you happy and fulfilled. Take care. Double this one. Get new cards and watch your credit. If necessary, put a hold on your credit so no new credit can be opened in your name this year without your consent, and add a password to your bank, etc. Did she change her tune after you told her to pack? Any apologies? Or did she just leave bitterly? She started crying and begging me to let her stay. No apologies though. I felt bad because she kept saying I was leaving her poor and defenseless, and now she has to stay with her parents. Next story. Am I the a-hole for contesting my ex's life insurance so my daughter got all the money and doesn't split it with her half-siblings? As part of our divorce agreement, my ex was supposed to have $1 million life insurance policy, with our daughter listed as the beneficiary. He was not supposed to make any changes to this policy without my approval. He passed away last year, and I found out that he added his other 2 kids to the policy without even asking me. He didn't even raise the amount of the policy. So it would have meant that our daughter would have gotten 1/3 of the money instead of all of it that she was supposed to get. I immediately went to a lawyer to see what could be done. He was able to get a court to stop the insurance company from paying out until this was dealt with, and it's now been officially settled. All the money put into a trust for my daughter. It has caused a bit of tension with my ex's wife, Emma, the other kid's mother to say the least. I still see her every so often when dropping off or picking up my daughter at my ex-in-laws. They're all very nice people, and fortunately have been there as a buffer so all 3 kids can still have a relationship with each other without Emma and I having to be too involved. However, there are still times when I drop off or pick up my daughter when I run into Emma, and every single time I do, she brings up how broke she is. Yesterday, I bumped into her again after we dropped the kids off.
I admit it was my finest moment, but as I was heading to my car when she brought up being broke again, I rolled my eyes. That set her off, and she brought up the life insurance money again, and how much of a witch I was to take that money away from her kids. That they deserved the money just as much as my daughter. That they should have gotten an equal share. That is what their father wanted. That they got left with nothing because of me. Thankfully, all the kids were inside while this happened, and I decided to just leave and not engage her, but it's still bothering me. Edit? I know a lot of people are wanting me to give some of the money to her siblings, but I am not in control of my daughter's trust and cannot move the money around. I can only ask for certain expenses for my daughter to be paid for directly from the trust with the approval of the trustee. Now for the top comments. Did she know about the divorce settlement and that he had changed the policy without you knowing? If she did, then she's a victim of her own doing. I'm not really sure if she didn't know and still doesn't get it, to be honest. I mean, sucks, but the fact is that her late husband didn't set up his estate correctly or legally. And it sure looks like he tried to skirt around the rules to look good. I married my current blissful more than a decade husband when my now adult son was a child. So, I had to redo all of my life insurance and property beneficiaries and all that stuff when I remarried, and it was a pain in the butt. But then my husband and I had a daughter together and I had to do it all again, and that was also okay. But I got a lawyer to make sure everything was a-okay and would not be troubled in the end. And it sounds like your ex, the father of your daughter, did not bother. So whatever legal fallout happened, well, it happened and that is best. Emma can blame her late husband for the fact that her kids are left with nothing. He cheaped out and knew he wouldn't be around to deal with the repercussions should the policy ever need to be used. Agreed, if he had a wherewithal to add his other 2 children to the policy, he had a wherewithal to increase the policy amount. But if we are being honest, he had full knowledge as to what was the divorce decree and tried to be slick. My best guess was that he thought he had time left, and by the time it passed, your child and his other children would be grown. And while it may be unfortunate for his other kids, you are well within your right to advocate for your child and enforce the validity of your divorce decree. Last story, am I the a-hole for telling my ex that his children are not my problem? I, 34 female, have a 10-year-old daughter with my ex. We broke up 5 years ago because he got another woman pregnant. He has the weekends with our daughter. Lately, my daughter has been complaining that her dad's stepson is bullying her and her dad isn't doing anything. My ex's stepson is 15 years old, so I was shocked when she told me that he would hit her, kick her, push her down the stairs, and my ex would pretend like he didn't know what's going on. She also said that her half-sister keeps taking her stuff. I called my ex after she told me all this, and he said that it's just kids being kids, and that our daughter should get over it. Also, that his other kids need more attention, so if my daughter can't deal with that, she shouldn't come over to his house. I yelled at him, saying that I didn't care about his other kids' problems. He should stop mistreating our daughter. He then hung up on me, and his wife wrote me a long text saying I'm an a-hole for saying that her kids aren't my problem. So am I the a-hole for saying that about my ex's kids? BS. His kids aren't special need or have any disabilities. Your daughter is 10. If she doesn't want to go to her father's home, please seek full custody. A 15-year-old hurting her isn't okay. Full custody along with complete child support. 15-year-old is old enough to be arrested in my state. My state, you can be charged in juvenile court as young as 10 over the assault, because that is what he is doing, assaulting her. Not the a-hole. Please speak to a lawyer about getting full custody and protecting your daughter from these physically and emotionally abusive a-holes. Yep, OP should factually document as much details as possible. Like October 7, 2023, late afternoon just after arriving from school, daughter said stepson John Doe pushed her downstairs, where she hit her head. Noticeable bruise in back of head. Ex witnessed the incident but said nothing to either daughter nor stepson. Save all texts or emails and take photos of any injuries. OP should also, with lawyer's advice, look into having a child psychologist speak to the daughter and document her testimony. A text or email where the ex says kids will be kids, and there OP make clear in that same text exchange it's about her child's injury, is going to be clear evidence of his knowledge, if not involvement. Little update. Thank you for all the advice I've been getting. I talked to my daughter about not going to her dad's anymore, and she said that she still wants to see her dad because she loves him, but she feels like he doesn't love her. This upsets me, because no 10-year-old should feel that way. I texted my ex saying that if he would like to see her, he should take her away from his house. And if he would rather not see her, I'll take this up to court and file for full custody. He said he didn't care. If I wanted, I could remove his parental rights, that he had his real children with him. I also say that I will be pressing charges on his stepson, and he just ignored that text. So I'm taking him to court. I also sent a screenshot to my friend who's a lawyer. Am I to get an update once everything is over?